Hello and good evening, everybody. And tonight is going to be episode 65 of Album Rant. And I'm really glad to be back, and I hope that the video quality looks okay. I hope the glare's out of the way. It looks like it is for me, and that is a good thing. But tonight we are going to resume the world of new wave of British heavy metal artist Def Leppard. Yes, you can see them right there. And this is going to be the third time I have discussed them in any context. I have done an episode of Album Rant on them before, and I'm glad I did. And I have done an episode of Song Tournament on them before, and I'm glad I did. But this time, I want to dive deep down into their second studio release entitled High and Dry. Well, actually, if we want to get technical, I guess it's technically their third studio release because we have that EP out there, but it's actually their second full-length, full-fledged album. Now, I am sure that most of you are probably very well familiar with hits that these guys have done, such as Let's Get Rocked, Animal, Armageddon It, Love Bites, Hysteria, Heaven Is, and yes, pour some sugar on me. Well, what I'm going to discuss tonight is a very different Def Leppard. But before I get there, I want to kind of start and tell you how we got here. But the Def Leppard that I'm going to discuss tonight is a much more hard-edged Def Leppard. A much more hard-rockin' and very, very far removed from the glam metal or the glam rock sound that we most associate with them today. But anyways, they formed actually in 1976 in Sheffield, England. And of course, they were in their early days, very young guys, and they were very heavily influenced by artists such as T-Rex and Mott the Hoople. I think I want to say, did I say that correctly? If I didn't, please kindly correct me. But anyways, those were their primary influences, and they went through a very, very long revolving door of band members, and I haven't quite outlined who came and who left, because most of these guys were just gone by the time the very first release came out. But in 1979, they released their very first EP, which as far as I can tell is just entitled the Def Leppard EP. And it contained 3 songs. We had Overture, which was later re-recorded for their first album, Get Your Rocks Off, which was later re-recorded for that first album, and another not so well-known song called Ride to the Sun. And that actually was re-recorded later in their glam metal days, and it actually doesn't sound bad, but that was their very first EP. Now, I have heard it. I have tried to find a vinyl copy of it, but it costs an arm and a leg, and I am just not forking over that kind of money for it. It's a very rare collector's item, and I envy anyone who actually owns a copy. But like I said, I have heard it. I have heard it on YouTube, and it's not bad. It really isn't. I mean, I think the later re-recorded versions of Rocks Off and Overture are actually better, but it is good for what it is. But my main issue with it, and believe me, this is not a common complaint when it comes to Def Leppard. This is probably going to be the only time you ever hear someone make this complaint about Def Leppard. But it sounded very underproduced. Yes, I just said that. So underproduced that it didn't really have too much of a punch to it. I mean, like I said, it is some very good raw tracks, but something was kind of missing, and it unfortunately didn't quite hit the mark that I would have wanted it to, but all of that changed in 1980. In 1980, they released their very first full-length album, and it was entitled On Through the Night, which I have reviewed on Album Rant. And the lineup consisted of this: Joe Elliot on lead vocals, Steve Clark on lead guitar, Pete Willis on lead guitar, Rick Savage on bass guitar, and Rick Allen on drums. He had 2 arms back then. And that very first album, On Through the Night, was amazing. boy, it does not sound anything like what the band is most well known for today. This was a new wave of British heavy metal record. This thing was raw. This thing was ferocious. This thing was electric, and I loved it. And it also had a very dark atmosphere to it on songs such as Wasted and the re-recorded version of Overture and When the Walls Came Tumbling Down, and it was amazing. Some other highlights from that album were, of course, Rock Brigade. Hello, America! Hello, America! Yes, It Could Be You, Sorrow Is a Woman, what else? Answers to the Master, Don't Matter, and of course we had that re-recorded version of Rock Soft. And I thought both Overture and Rock Soft sounded much better on Through the Night than it did on that initial EP. They recruited longtime Judas Priest producer Tom Allom to produce the album, and I gotta say, I really wish they had stuck with him because that was an amazing production. It had a very raw sound to it. I've heard some people compare it to Southern rock, which I'm not really quite hearing. It sounds, well, like British heavy metal, and I really, really liked it that way. But anyways, we then, after that, in the following year, in 1981, they released their second studio release entitled High and Dry. And that is what I am going to be talking about tonight. Now, you can see right there on the cover, this is the cover, and this was kind of a change in direction for the band. Make no mistake, I would still consider this to be a heavy metal record, but it's kind of making a very, very small baby step towards glam. You can definitely hear some glam on this album, but they have not fully embraced that sound, which I am very thankful for. So, coming over here on the back, let's see what we got here. We got some credits, and this is gonna be a little rough, but you can see right there it's produced by Robert John Mutt Lang, who you will probably recognize for his work with AC/DC. And well, I think he does a great job here. I thought they had a very good sound on this album. Maybe not as good as On Through the Night, but still very solid. Where else are we? Yes, right there. Here is the band. We have Rick Allen on drums and lead vocals. He still has two arms. We have Pete Willis on lead guitar and background vocals. Joe Elliot is on lead vocals. We have Steve Clark on lead guitar and background vocals. And then Rick Savage on bass guitar and background vocals. Well, anyways, as you can see right here, there are 5 people in the band, and 3 of them are still with the band. Rick Allen is, Joe Elliott is, and Rick Savage is. So I really gotta hand it to these guys for maintaining a somewhat consistent lineup over the years. Pete Willis was fired after their third album, their next album, and Steve Clark has unfortunately passed away. And so they did have to be replaced by Phil Collin and Vivian Campbell. But still, I mean, when you go to see these guys in concert, it is as close to the band that people saw in the 80s as it can possibly get. And that's pretty impressive because there are a lot of artists out there that have gone through some very radical lineup changes throughout time. This has been fairly consistent, or as consistent as it can be under the circumstances. So where is the track list? The track list is right here. Is this one in order? Yes, it is, and I'm very thankful for that. So anyways, it kicks off with Let It Go, which, as I said, this album does have kind of a different sound than On Through the Night did. Again, this one is veering more towards pop metal. It's still very much a heavy metal record. It is not a pop record, but like I said, it's making baby steps towards that direction. But Let It Go is an absolute anthem. It comes out swinging. Da-na-na-na-na-na, da-da-na-na-na-na, da-da-na-na-na-na, da-dun-dun. And I absolutely love Let It Go. It is fast, it is raw, it is hard rocking, and it just absolutely kicks. I mean, it goes, cool woman, cool eyes, you got me hypnotized, so head down, get a rhythm, so stop the stalling, and you're bitching, rock steady, and then something after that. But a fun fact about this, back when I was a kid, one of my favorite TV shows was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And as you probably know, there is a mutant rhinoceros on that show called Rocksteady. Anyways, I was in the car one time with my mom, and I think Let It Go actually came on the radio. I want to say it is, but what I do know is my mom pointed out to me, hey, they said Rocksteady. That's from Ninja Turtles, isn't it? I'm like, yes, it is. Of course, I was like 6 at the time, so I didn't really know too much about Def Leppard, but that is a pretty interesting bit of trivia to me, because when I heard this song as a teenager, or actually a college student, it brought me back to that time period, so it's funny how music does that. But anyways, I mean, the chorus is just like, let it rock, let it roll, you gotta let it go, da-na-na-na-na, and it just absolutely kicks. It's got a pretty smooth, pretty melodic bridge in the middle, but at the same time, that's like I said, this is a full-fledged metal song. They still play this one in concert. Yeah, believe it or not. I mean, yeah, when you go to see these guys in concert, obviously Hysteria is dominating the set list. But they still do pull a few from their early days, at least from the High and Dry album and Pyromania, which is always very nice to see, or hear actually. And I really got to respect them for that, because they have not abandoned this album, and that is awesome. Then we move into the second song, which is another hit and run. And this one is also very, very hard rocking. As soon as it comes in, it is just thunderous. It is just heavy. And I still also really, really like another hit and run. What was I saying? I say you got no respect for authority. You're just playing your dirty tricks, and then come crying to me. Hit and run! And it's just amazing. I love it, okay? It's much like Let It Go in the sense that it's a pretty straightforward rocker, but again, it's heavy, it's metallic, and I love it. Another interesting story about this song, I guess. The very first time I saw Def Leppard in concert was in 2007. I have seen them many times, okay? And at least every time they have played at least one song from High and Dry. Well, anyways, I looked up the set list on some article, I think. Yeah, I found it on Google somewhere. And the set list said they were going to play another hit and run. So I'm there and I'm ready. I know another hit and run is coming up. And the first thing I yell is, you got no respect! Respect for authority! Well, the thing is this. They actually played Let It Go. Not another hit and run. I swear they did not play another hit and run. So I'm there standing there. I said the wrong lyrics and I feel incredibly silly. But it's just the strangest thing ever. I look on Wikipedia and Wikipedia says they played another hit and run. I look on setlist.com and it says they played another hit and run. I swear they did not play that at that concert. They played Let It Go, but whatever, it's all right. But then we come to the title track, High and Dry Saturday Night. This one's a little bit more bluesy, which is it's an interesting approach in retrospect for this artist, but I still gotta say I like it. I mean, they don't do that many blues numbers. But I mean, you know, it starts out dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And I mean, it goes, I'm not a loner, I'm not a fool. Don't need a reason be cool. I got my whiskey, I got my wine, I got my woman, and this time the lights are going out. Saturday night on High and Dry. And yeah, it's just amazing. This actually appeared on a VH1 countdown. It was like the top 40 metal songs of all time. I want to say that. And this was on there. And I am really glad that that ended up on that list, on that countdown. I think there are some other Def Leppard songs that are probably a little bit better that maybe could have gone on instead. But still, you know, I just gotta respect that it actually got on there. But, I don't think I quite like the title track as much as the previous two, as much as the first two. I just don't think it maybe flows quite as well, and the chorus is not quite as thunderous and epic, but still, it is a great song, and I definitely really love it. Then we come to what maybe at the time was a rather controversial subject. We have Bringing On the Heartbreak, which is officially, I believe, the band's very first power ballad. This did get an MTV music video and later a Mariah Carey cover. Okay. There was also a VH1 countdown of the top 100 least metal moments, and one of them was Mariah Carey doing a cover of Bringing On the Heartbreak, but it wasn't the fact that she did the cover that was not metal. It was the fact that Def Leppard actually said they preferred the cover version to their version. Okay, whatever. But I mean, still, it starts out and it's kind of slow at the beginning. Do-no-no-no, do-no-no-no, do-no-no-no-no. And then it just gets very soft and very melodic. And I mean, I think the rhythm flows pretty well. I mean, I think that the lyrics are pretty good. But, it does start building up towards the chorus, you know, it starts building up and building up. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's true. You're bringing on the heartache, taking all the best of me. Oh, can't you see? You got the best of me. Whoa, can't you see? And then you all know how it goes after that. I'm not going to sing that part. I'm not going to sing the main culminating crescendo where he starts singing Bringing On the Heartbreak because I'd probably mess it up. But again, you know how it goes. This song comes on the radio all the time, okay? It's constantly overplayed. I'm not sick of it, but I do recognize it is overplayed. But, the first time I heard it, actually, what happened was, at the time, I had really only heard the Pyromania album, and I was in the car, and this came on. I didn't quite catch on that it was a Def Leppard song until, the chorus started coming in, but I was like, oh, that's Def Leppard. It sounds like a power ballad, so it must be something they did after Pyromania. Well, I was wrong. It actually came before Pyromania, so yeah, interesting bit of trivia right there. Now, on most of the greatest hits albums, and on the radio, at the very end, the song just kind of fades out. Well, that is not what happens on the actual album. It keeps going, and it segues into Switch 625. Now, this is an instrumental. I don't think the band really has that many instrumentals out there. As far as I can tell, there are not any other instrumentals that come to my mind. So anyways, we have Switch 625, and it's incredible. I mean, we start off with a nice bass intro, do no 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 no, and then the band just progressively starts coming in, do no no, do no no, do no no, and the entire thing just keeps building, and it's got a very explosive rhythm to it after it just gets going, and I think it's absolutely incredible. Now, they actually still do play this one in concert. In fact, every time I have seen these guys, which is 7 times by this point, yes, like I said, they dominate the set list with Hysteria, but they've always played Bringing On the Heartbreak, and they have always played Switch 625 after it. And I go absolutely crazy during that one. I am bouncing up and down, I'm clapping my hands, and I am just screaming and having such a great time. That is usually the point in the concert where most people around me kind of sit down and think they need to take a break waiting for the next Hysteria song. Not me. That's when I'm in full-fledged mode and I am just rocking out, banging my head, doing everything. It is absolutely incredible. And I really think Switch 625 is my favorite song from side 1. Side 1 is incredibly strong. These first 5 songs down to there, that is side 1. The first 5 songs, all of them on side 1, are very well written and they are very, very thunderous, but Switch 625 is my favorite. Let It Go is probably in second place, and after that, I'm not too sure, depends on the mood. But anyways, side 1 kicks things off very well. Then we move to side number 2, and it starts with You Got Me Running, which starts out a little bit slower, and unfortunately, I feel like some of the steam has kind of gotten sucked out of the band by this point, because it's not quite as catchy as some of the other stuff, and it's not quite as good in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very, very hard rocker, but at the same time, it just doesn't get me pumped up the way I would have wanted it to. But you know, you got me running, and I mean, it's decent, but it's a little bit slow, a little bit more brooding, but I still really like it. But the weakest song on here is probably Lady Strange. This one is also very slow, and I said before, they were tiptoeing towards glam rock, and this is probably where it's the most apparent, especially in the chorus. I mean, those harmonies, they're starting to sound a little bit whiny, and it's kind of a precursor to what would happen to them in the late 80s and early 90s. So yeah, Lady Strange is definitely my least favorite from here, but it's still really solid. It's still a very strong number, but just look at the competition. Then we come to On Through the Night. You heard that correctly. The song On Through the Night is not on Through the Night. It's on High and Dry. Are you confused yet? It's okay if you are, okay? But things just pick right back up with this one. This one is also very, very fast, and I really do enjoy this one also, okay? The chorus could have a little bit more of a kick to it, a little bit more of a punch to it, but overall, guys, it's a great song to blast, it's a great song to jam, and I do very much recommend that one. But then we come to something rather interesting. We come to Mirror, Mirror, Look Into My Eyes. This is quite unlike anything else on the album. Now, just looking at the title, you might think it's more of a soft, poppy, kind of ballad-like number. No. No pun intended. It isn't, okay? This thing is dark, and this thing is doomy and gothic. I mean, it starts out down, da-da-no-no-no, da-da-no-no-no, and then we just have this bass that's just going dum, 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 dum. And I just really, really love it. It's just so different from all the other stuff that they've done. But it's like I said, it's almost doomy. It's just got such a great atmosphere that I just love it. They have played this a few times that I saw them, and yes, you gotta better believe it, I got into it when they played Mirror, Mirror. You know, take a look into my eyes, tell me what you see, and I just went berserk during it. I love Mirror, Mirror, Look Into My Eyes, okay? Definitely kind of an oddball for Def Leppard, but that may be why I like it, and so I do give that my endorsement. Then we come to the final track, No, 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 and yes, there's a Kiss song called No, No, No. It is not in any way related to this song. I am talking about the Def Leppard song that is off High and Dry, which is the album I am reviewing. This one is much faster, and it's, again, a pretty typical hard rocker, and it definitely feels a lot more like Let It Go and Another Hit and Run, but I mean, just gotta love the chorus, you know, no, 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 and I mean, I know that's just very simplistic and easy and everything, but the way they do it, the way he sings it is just incredible, and I really highly recommend No, No, No. Now, I have heard online that at the very end, when Joe Elliott goes, no, 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 on the vinyl, it just repeats that over and over and over and over and over again until whoever is playing it picks the needle up and takes the record off the record player. Well, guys, I obviously have a remastered copy right here, so maybe that is the case on the original release. It is not the case on the remastered release, which is what I've heard, okay? So people who say that the ending just repeats over and over and over again, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry. That would have been a pretty cool gimmick, actually, I gotta say that, but that does not happen on here, so I'm sorry to burst your bubble and rain on your parade, but yeah, at least that's what I've noticed. But anyways, that is going to conclude my review of High and Dry. Now, let me go back to this real quickly. Side 2, my favorite is either Mirror Mirror or No No No. I really think I'm going to go with Mirror Mirror just because it's so different and so creative and just kind of an oddball out of the whole group, but at the same time, it's an oddball in a good way, and I definitely really respect that. Not a ballad, but very slow and very gothic, which I just love. And guys, like I said, this album is still very much a metal album, but they were kind of making steps towards glam rock. They would make a further step towards that on their next album, which was still good, but unfortunately by their fourth album in the late 80s, they would fully embrace glam, and it really was the end of an era for Def Leppard, and they did not last as long as they should have. I really wish they had stuck to this style of music, and unfortunately, it's what happened. It's what we have, and we just have to appreciate the time that we had where Def Leppard was still a very thunderous and very, very influential figure in new wave of British heavy metal. And for that, I believe that I am able to live with that. So anyways, thank you all very much for joining me tonight on Album Rant. I really enjoyed reviewing High and Dry. Next time, I am going to begin a countdown, but until then, have a very pleasant evening.